Hey, what's going on guys? Bailey here, and I hope you're all having a fantastic day. So yesterday we finally got the long awaited story reveal trailer for Saints Row, which gave us another detailed look at the game with obviously a strong focus on the story. The Saints Row story trailer lasted only 2 minutes, which you could say was short and sweet, but I appreciate that it didn't give too much away in respect to story spoilers. I have seen some people say that the story trailer didn't show us enough of the story, but I do appreciate everything that we got to see, since hopefully there'll be a lot of surprises in store for us when we get to play the game. There were a few things that seemed to be in the parameters of huge spoiler territory in the trailer, which some eagle-eyed viewers probably saw, but if you've watched it casually, you probably haven't noticed anything. However, 2 minutes may seem short for a story trailer for a game in comparison to others, but I thought this was the perfect length for this new Saints Row, especially as we still don't have that much understanding about the story other than it follows the startup and journey of the 3rd Street Saints taking down rival gangs in Santa Aleso as they build their criminal enterprise. The trailer also gave us new never before seen looks at some of the story cutscenes, and also a main scene showing the induction of the 3rd Street Saints, along with some other really cool action sequences that we will all get to experience when the game releases. However, there are some concerns I do have with the story for Saints Row after seeing this story trailer, which I will get into later. So in today's video, I'll be breaking down the main highlights from the all-new Saints Row story reveal trailer that we got to see, and providing you with all the details you need to know. So I hope you do enjoy this video guys, and if you do, don't forget to leave a like and be sure to subscribe to see more Saints Row videos from me in the future. So let's get into these details. So the story trailer starts off with giving us a beautiful look at some of the districts in Santa Aleso, with dialogue over the top from a character we don't know of yet saying, "You have more agency and power than the world wants you to know." The gameplay then transitions into showing us a cutscene from one of the earlier missions where the Saints commit their first criminal activity, with Eli providing dialogue over the top of this saying, "How do we make a statement? We want to be more than a street gang." After this, the gameplay gets a lot more exciting as we see a significantly large Los Panteras convoy transporting weapons and vehicles across the desert region, and this is then followed by a crazy amount of explosions, most likely caused by the Saints. Following on from this, we get to see a lot of quick shots of the Saints fighting different characters from the different factions, and also a look at Eli fighting Nawali in the first apartment we get in the game. We then see the scene where Kevin is jumped by the idols, and the boss heads to an idol bar to find out where Kevin is being held captive, which we have previously seen many times already. Shortly after this, we see the boss pick themselves up off the floor and wipes blood from their mouth, as the gameplay showcases the vast amount of customization options you can make to your character, with dialogue over the top saying, "You need to be your own boss." We then get an inside look at the church, which the 3rd Street Saints use as a HQ, and also this is the church that we will get to customize through our playtime with the game. The gameplay cuts back to the boss fighting Los Panteras again, which seems to be part of the same mission we saw earlier, where the Los Panteras are escorting a convoy of weapons and vehicles across the desert region of Santa Aleso. Next up, we see Atticus Marshall, I hope I pronounced that correctly, who is the leader of the Marshals, entering an executive boardroom in their HQ, where the boss seems to have hijacked this meeting as they are sat in the main board seat. From the presentation projected on the screen behind the boss, we see the current slide is current company status, and the points covered in this slide are major losses from Hummingbird Codex incident, private security contracts at a low following loss of Codex, CEO A. Marshall's costly ongoing feud with the gang known as the Saints, massive losses in manpower and technology following the above, losses in tech development following loss of Gideon Marshals, lack of faith from domestic and international military following the above incidents. This has resulted in a major loss of military contracts. Seems like things aren't going well for the Marshals based on the current company status slide. However, this suggests that this cutscene is after the Saints engage in hostile activity against the Marshals, and since the boss is in the main board seat of this boardroom, in the Marshals HQ. This could very much hint towards this being one of the final missions against the Marshals faction, where all the Saints need to do to destroy this faction is by taking out their leader, Atticus Marshall. The trailer then moves on to showing us a shot of Nawali doing tricks with his trusty blade and throwing this at the boss in a different scene. We've seen a lot already of Nawali using this knife, so this very much could be the main weapon he uses to attack, which will be something useful to keep in mind heading into the game. There's a lot we can discuss in respect to the role Nawali plays in the story, but to avoid any massive spoilers, I will leave this for another video. After this, we see a few quick gameplay shots of the boss, Kevin, Nina, and Eli on karaoke, and action shots of the Idols and the Los Panteras facing off against the Saints in the Idol Mansion and Museum. We then see Eli on a table covered in blood after being shot, but surprisingly being quite cool and chill about the whole thing. This could be after a job goes horribly wrong, which I'm probably guessing is one of the first jobs the Saints tackle, as there'd be more rookies at the start of the game and make these type of mistakes in comparison to later on in the game where they're fully fledged experienced criminals. Following on from this, we see a shootout with the Saints and the Marshals occurring on a moving freight train, which looks insane. I must say, from seeing this scene in the story trailer, this is probably one of my most anticipated story missions that I am looking forward to experiencing when I get my hands on the game. Then we got to see the boss surrounded by members of Nawali's gang in an old abandoned town in the desert region of Santa Aleso. After this, we see even more insane shots with Nawali and the boss engaging in hand-to-hand combat on top of a flying Marshall VTOL. Yes, you heard me correctly and seen it correctly. A fist fight on a flying Marshall VTOL. This is followed by Nawali standing over the boss, who is on the ground, with Nawali saying, "You really think you have what it takes to bring me in?" Again, another mission that I'm really looking forward to playing, but again, to avoid any massive spoilers, I will save some of my opinions and thoughts about Nawali's role in the story and this scene for another video. After this, we see the boss surrounded once again on a road, this time being surrounded by armed police, and Nina comes to save the boss from being arrested by driving into a billboard, which surprisingly kills all the police. We see the boss jumping onto a zip line, taking them to the Marshall VTOL that we got to see earlier, so I'm assuming that this is the same scene before the fight with Nawali. This perfectly transitions into Nina swinging on a hook and jumping into a customized Los Panteras truck. After this, we see a before and after change of the 3rd Street Saints HQ, the church, which looks really nice once fully upgraded and customized. The trailer then shows the role-playing gang that we get to meet and help during our time in Santa Aleso. We don't know much about this role-playing gang, but what we do know is that there are 2 role-playing factions that we'll get to see and help, and any weapons we use in their missions are toy guns. In this shot of the trailer, we see the boss enter a convenience store and fire a toy gun at one of the role-players, who imitates being shot by squirting sauce out of a ketchup bottle, which is quite ridiculous. We then get to see the mission we got to see earlier, where the Saints are attacking a Marshall freight train, but this time we get to see a Marshall tank being used on the train to shoot down any enemy aircrafts trying to provide support. Following on from this, we get a lot of fast-paced gameplay shots, from the boss breaking out some moves to a Portaloo being winched to a car and then being used as a wrecking ball across a festival site. After this, more quick shots from land vehicles to sea vehicles to wingsuiting and fighting enemy factions. Then one of the final big shots in the trailer is Kevin, Nina, Eli, and the boss all head out onto the Saints HQ church balcony to give a speech in front of the rest of the gang to induct the name of the gang by saying, "We call ourselves the Saints." Then finally, we see lots and lots of explosions, and I mean lots of explosions. Then pops out the title card Saint Row with some new artwork we have not seen before. The trailer finally ends with Nawali and the boss desperately hanging onto the flying Marshall VTOL that we saw them fighting on earlier, and it crashing into an old abandoned town. And that was everything that was shown off in the story trailer for Saints Row. Overall, it looks really good, and I'm very excited for this game. I do have some concerns about this game, however, and they're mainly about the story. Although I mentioned at the start that I'm quite happy with the length of this trailer, and we didn't get to see much about the story, I do think that the real reason as to why we didn't get to see much more story-focused cutscenes or content in the trailer is because most of that sort of stuff has been shown already in the gameplay previews and trailers we've got to see. And in addition to this, the game does only include 25 main story missions, which is still quite worrying. I say this because we've already seen scenes from the museum and the idol mansion and the first robbery, and we see a lot of that in this story trailer too. The only new scene that we got to see in the story trailer was the boss fighting Nawali, which in itself could be described as a spoiler to some. In addition to this, from what we got to see of the story from this trailer, the story seems to be somewhat as ridiculous and over the top like Saints Row the Third. This isn't much of a bad thing, but I was expecting the story to be a perfect blend of Saints Row 2 and Saints Row the Third. However, this game's story seems to be weighing heavily into the over-the-top gameplay of Saints Row the Third. I can't say right now whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, but I will have a better understanding when I get to play the game myself very soon. I do wish to be proven wrong, and that the story has a ton of surprises that we have not seen or guessed already, and I overall have a very good experience playing this game. So what do you think of the Saints Row story reveal trailer? Did you like it or did you dislike it? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts and to get a nice discussion going, which I'll be sure to jump in on. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. Also, if you do enjoy content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. If you want to continue discussing Saints Row with other people who enjoy this game just as much, be sure to join my Discord community where there is a link in the description to join. Also, don't forget that you can check me out streaming over on Twitch during the week, and you can find a link to my channel in the description box down below too. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching, take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.